Check this thing out. Now this is the most that this thing's looked to being a car in the last 10 years, 15 years, since it was totally disassembled. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to give you guys an update on where we are with this project and what's going on. This is all for show basically, because nothing's actually mounted or there's no subframe or anything. Let me give you the rundown. We have the floors done. The only reason that I've got the interior in it here is just so that we can test fit it. My son and I pulled these seats out of a parts car that we have. And they're not Nova seats. I'm not really sure what they're out of. I think that they're like 3rd gen Camaro seats, but I could totally be wrong. So if you know what those are out of, drop it down in the comments. The great thing is that these seats line up perfectly with the bench seat holes on the outside. The seats don't sit level, so I just have these blocks of wood holding it up right now just to get the seats level. And I'm going to fabricate something to make a riser in the center of the car here. As you can see, floor pans are in. That floor pan, the last time you saw this car, was not installed because we were waiting on a torque box, which we got. So you can see that the torque box is all welded in there. So floors are done. I mean, with the exception of the floor needs to be seam sealed. It needs to be painted. We're gonna start wire wheeling everything underneath the car to get the underneath prepped for undercoating. Yeah, so the interior's in here right now just for a test fit, back seat as well. Because basically I don't want to seam seal and do any of that stuff and then have to drill holes in the floor and wreck everything that we did. So I want to get all those holes drilled and seat locations and everything figured out now before, you know, we finish the inside. Some of the rust areas that were in the window channel here, we fixed on those, welded in a couple patches. There was a couple holes along this tray here, so we welded in a couple patches in here, and I just hit it with like a brown paint so you can't really see it. The rear window that we took out of the parts car, I got that all cleaned up. All the old, this thing must have been leaking in the parts car because the entire top was just caked in silicone. So I got all of that scrubbed off and cleaned up. And what I noticed once there wasn't 700 pounds of moss on this thing is that there's an old Blackjack header sticker on it. So it's almost a race car already. Old vintage 70s stickers already installed. So I couldn't bring myself to scrub that off the rest of the way. So we're just going to leave on that. So hopefully during the week, sometime this week, we can get the back glass in this car. So I want to replace the windshield on the green car, which is out in the driveway, and take the windshield that's going to come out of the green car and probably shove it in here. Sometimes you just got to step back from a project and do something as silly as like just putting some wheels underneath it with, you know, your favorite hubcaps. Dog just swapping the world here. And, you just got to step back and take a minute to, you know, look at it. Oh, man, just look at it. It's sweet to see that, like, after all this work mean, not all this work. You know what I mean. After working on this car for quite some time now, to actually be able to, you know, see some sort of end result. I mean, this isn't the end result. So let me continue. So we're gonna throw. This is the 8.2 10 bolt that came out of the green car when we put the Curry in it, which we saved on all the brake lines. I've reassembled the drum brakes in here, so they're good to go. I have all the front suspension stuff that we're going to put on the subframe that came off of this car, which I also have. So we're gonna rebuild the front subframe, get that painted up, get all this suspension stuff mounted on it. These brakes are also good. We're gonna probably replace on all the control arm bushings because they're shot. So basically, we have the drive shaft, we have the front suspension, and we have the subframe, we have the rear suspension. I had the leaf springs are hiding behind all this stuff. But basically, we're gonna put this thing together with free parts because they came off of the other project. As of right now, money invested into this is, as of right now, is nothing. Only the cost of the shell with the title. Everything that we've acquired for it, we've basically scavenged off of stuff we either have or the parts car. I bought the shell, which was a shell with a title, which came with it came with a lot of sheet metal. It came with a lot of stuff. It came with that body cart, so that's cool. And once we get the thing on the ground, we can offload that. But the car came with a lot of stuff. The seats were free. Fenders came off a donor car. So we're gonna swap this door that was off of a 70, which is the parts car, because this door has bolt-on hinges as opposed to this car, which has weld-on hinges. So I think what we're gonna, and I mean, as you can see, this door, passenger side door, as soon as the metal behind the trim got, you know, water behind it and started to rust, it just cooked out the bottom of the door. This looks like crap. The inner door structure is really good. Just the skin is cooked, but it'll be easier just to swap out the door. So I'm hoping that what I can get away with here, and if I can't, comment, so maybe you could save me from myself. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is knock the pins out and utilize half the bolt-on hinge with the other half of the welded hinge and put the pin back in. And hopefully with the bolt-on hinge, like the half of bolt-on hinge that's movable there, I can get the door adjusted to fit. This door also has glass in it and it's good to go. We're not aiming for rotisserie restoration here. I just want it to be a cool driver. Then we're just gonna have to figure out, you know, half of the driveline. We're basically I'm hoping that we're just gonna need an engine and transmission, because as long as I use a short tail 350, the drive shaft that came out of my Powerglide car will work. So that's going to be, because they're both 27 spline and they're both going to be the same length. So hopefully I can get away with that. And we'll have to wire it because everything's been just cut on. But, oh, and we need a rad support. No rad support for this car. So we're going to need one of those, and bumpers. Okay, the price list is going back up quick. So I don't plan on painting this car, but I think I have an idea of how to cover all of the marks that I'm going to have from where that trim came off. I'm not telling you now, because you're just going to have to stick around and find out. And that leads me back around. If you haven't subscribed, please do it. Come on, click the button. A lot of the YouTube stuff says that you guys keep returning, but a lot of you are not subscribed. So come on, hit the button. But other than that, that's pretty much all I wanted to do this video, was just show you guys where this thing was at. It's still hanging out here in the back of my garage, turned sideways. I threw one wheel underneath it, and then that just snowballed into like, oh, I gotta put half the car together just so I could see what it looks like. And now I know. For the first time in a long time, it's starting to look like a car. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Just wanted to update you on the status of the blue car. And we're going to see you next time. So, peace.